Today's show is sponsored by the ABV Barrel Shop. The ABV Barrel Shop is located in the St. Louis metro community of Arnold, Missouri. The ABV Barrel Shop is focused on one thing: single barrels. Best of all, you can try before you buy. Head over to abvbarrelshop.com to sign up for their email and text distribution so you know what they have in stock, what classes are coming up, and who from the industry may be coming in to visit. The ABV Barrel Shop. It's where single barrels live. We are also sponsored by the Bar to Go. The Bar to Go offers traveling minibars that are no bigger than a small purse or toiletry bag. Best of all, they are fully customizable so you can create the perfect piece that is unique for you. If you own your own business, what a fun and unique way to promote what you do. Check them out online at thebartogo.com. That is the number 2 in the Bar to Go. If you have wholesale questions, call my friend Isabel Clark at 504-481-1297. Finally, we are sponsored by the Neely Family Distillery. NFD is a family-owned business that keeps ringing up awards in the spirits world. Head to Sparta, Kentucky to experience the family history, award-winning spirits, and meet the Neely family. Check them out online at neelyfamilydistillery.com. Now, on to the show.
Let's drink!
Welcome to the Bourbon Daily, the podcast about everything bourbon delivered to you every day of the week. Today on the show, we discuss Bardstown Bourbon Company. Are they on track to be the next biggest bourbon distillery? My name is McNew. Please join me in welcoming my co-host, Steve Akeley, along with our special guests, Kathy Cool, Von Nieters, and Wes Harden.
Hey, gang, what's up?
Hey, guys.
Hello.
Hey, so yes, this is just kind of trying to look in the crystal ball and seeing, knowing that things change. You get so complacent where you're at, and Beam's been the big thing for so long now. You're talking about any bourbon fan of any that spent any amount of time following bourbon, you think, well, Beam's always the biggest, and is that always going to be the case? Maybe Beam's doing everything right, and they'll be able to stay king of the mountain forever. But then again, maybe not. And we'll talk about, is there one that could be coming up? And they seem to be doing some of the things. Bardstown, acquiring Green River, another brand that sources, another brand that not only sources but has their own brands. We'll talk about that. And if we think they could potentially be that one that and I'm not talking, this isn't going to happen the next year, folks, but down the road. What could happen? So we'll get into that. But for right now, though, Wes said there's something he wanted to talk about on a different topic. What is that, sir?
Wanted to get everyone's opinion. It's always like a topic that people either like have zero interest in or they're kind of all in. But there's been, in the last year or so, there's been a ton of footage, whether it's from the government or it's from just an average person that's at home or maybe in an airplane or wherever, but there's been a ton of footage of supposed and possible UFOs and things like that. So I wanted to get your opinion on, do you believe, in whatever form or fashion, there's all the theories of whether it's just flat out aliens, it's time travel, there's all this stuff that goes along. But my contingency, I want to get your opinion. My contingency is this. I was always on the fence about it, but the more I think about it, it's hard for me to believe that without assistance and help, that humans and in the span of the existence of the planet in a very relative short time frame went from the technology of, with the lack of technology of the 13, 14, 1500s, the thousands, the 100s, all the way till now. They went from literally everyone walking around everywhere, building huts out of grass and clay, to all the technology we have today. I just find it hard to believe that we didn't have some sort of assistance along the way, that we just all of a sudden woke up in, call it the 60s or the 50s or the 70s. We woke up sometime in that era and decided that, oh shit, now we're so smart, we can make rocket ships and cars and cell phone technology. I just feel like it's hard for me to wrap my head around that we're just a small handful of people on the planet are so smart that they're just progenies and come up with all this invention. I feel like we're getting help from somewhere.
We're getting help.
Yes.
Okay.
The drone birds. Are the drone birds helping?
No, not that kind of stuff.
The lizard
Not
the-
people.
So Wes, I'm with you because if you look back, like, so if you think like the ancient pyramids or all the old architecture that used to exist, they didn't have cranes, they didn't have like construction equipment. How the hell did that happen?
No, did you live back then? How do you know they didn't have cranes?
No, really. You cannot carry rocks up that high and built this by hand.
They might have had cranes. We don't know.
They might have had cranes. I don't.
Propane, they're propane driven, so a little rudimentary, but yeah, they had cranes from my understanding.
Cranes.
I just can't believe that we like so, and it was so intricate, right? Like now we just build like stick houses that look all the same and they're fucking boring as shit. We used to have really good architecture and we just stopped doing it. And I don't think it's because we're a better society. I think I'm kind of with you on this. I don't know. I'm with you.
Mm.
We used to be better.
Did the aliens abandon us, and that's why our architecture went downhill?
I think so. We used to get gargoyles and shit, and then they said, "Fuck you guys, you suck," and they left us. And now we have boring architecture.
Okay.
That's what happened.
Boring architecture. Okay. It's not inflation, it's the architecture.
It's the architecture problem.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. No, why would someone help us? We're like a game, you're thinking? We're just a small thing that's like a game, and they're like, yeah, what are they helping us do by inventing cars and travel and rockets?
Like, came from like another galaxy and they think of us like pets, right? So like if we see a stranded dog, we're like, let me help this poor creature and give it a better life. And then they got tired of giving us a better life because we suck.
This is going to be a ridiculous argument to the point, but I think it's take The Simpsons. I know take The Simpsons cartoon.
Sure.
There have been if that cartoon's been around 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
It came out in '89.
Okay, thank you. So it's been around for a long time, and episodes like excerpts from episodes of that cartoon that happened in the early 90s that they went on and said that this thing was going to happen literally happened 20 years later, 10 years later, 15 years later. Like you can go, and it's not a made up thing. Like it's I just find it hard to believe. I used to be on the same side as you, Steve. I used to think all that was bullshit and it's all crazy and all that kind of stuff. I don't believe the whole thing that the landing on the moon was fake and all that jazz. Like I don't believe that, but I have a hard time believing. I don't have enough faith in humanity that we've had enough smart people in such a small time frame to make this dramatic leap in the last 100 years. The technology in the last 100 years has grown so far leaps and bounds to where you barely had a car or a vehicle that would even ran on four little dinky bicycle tires, and you had to crank the fucking engine to get it going. To now we have almost driverless cars. Almost, we have self-driving, self-propelled cars for the most part. It's hard for me to believe that, knowing society, that we have that many smart people running around.
What if
reading.
we just got aliens dropped in and those are our inventors? What if Tesla
like Steve Jobs was an alien?
Yeah. What if those are the aliens? They just casually get dropped in and they invent cool shit for the rest of us.
I could be. I'm a podcasting pioneer.
You could be a reptilian.
Yeah. Steve's an alien. He's
a reptilian.
They're aliens anyway, so that makes a lot of sense actually. But
yeah. I don't know what the benefit would be unless you're telling me we're just entertainment for someone, and then they give us stuff just to keep us entertained. It's almost enrichment. So the enrichment is we're going to give you the stuff that you can build cars and stuff like that. See what you figure out. See what you come up with. Maybe there you go. But I just don't know maybe
we're like their version of watching Benny Hill. Just like throw a bunch of shit out there and see how crazy it gets, and they just sit back and laugh at us like.
The Truman Show, we're all their Truman Show. They're just watching us. They just drop stuff in and watch what we do with it. And they're so ashamed of what we did with it.
I look at it more of like, I look at the movie The Matrix. I used to think it was just a cool movie. Then I got to thinking like, and so like Hollywood's another part of that. Like maybe there's just people that are extremely more creative than I am. But I don't think I would ever in a million years come up with the concept for the Matrix that humans were feeding machines and they were all living in a dream world. And like,
well, shit, I haven't seen that movie yet.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
It's from
God,
it's like
damn
from
it.
98 or something.
I was getting around to it. I was almost there. Yeah.
Got it.
Don't count if it's over a year old. It is on you at that point.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm too busy just trying to pay my bills and live my life. So I don't ever think about what's the greater power that's given me this great life.
Have I heard from Von Nieters or KK on this yet?
I'll bring us back to reality.
Okay.
No, I think, there's just a lot more people on Earth. We've learned a lot. There's a lot more technology, a lot more accessible information that's easier to get. Mm-hmm. I think we've just, we've evolved. We're smarter. And it's only going to get faster because we keep innovating off of each other. Every time somebody does something that's really smart and innovative, somebody's going to capitalize.
Obviously,
look there.
It just keeps happening.
The aliens disagreed and they froze your computer.
They stopped him. They froze his computer. Yeah, they wanted that deleted. So
they didn't want me to hear. They didn't want you guys to hear what's actually happening.
Yeah, right. GL's the Bay 65 just zapped your ass there. So you're speaking.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll never
Kathy, you clearly believe all that stuff, right?
No.
Kathy believes all that.
No.
No.
I think Von Nieters has a good point that, we're just building on things that other people have figured out. But I also agree with Wes in the fact that humanity is full of some really stupid people. But there are also really smart people. So,
yeah.
I don't.
We're just here.
Yeah, there are. Don't get me wrong. And not everybody's an idiot, obviously, but there's a lot of the smart people that do a lot of stupid things as well. So it's. I don't know. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. I think part of the technology, there's enough documented footage that's when it comes from Air Force files and they're from pilots, like you can't fake that stuff. Like if it was just me posting a video that, hey, look, it looks like a spaceship in the sky and it's just a freaking star, then you kind of dismiss it. But part of our technology is every vehicle, especially every government vehicle, satellites, there's just it's hard. I don't see how anybody gets away with anything anymore because there's always a camera. There's always somebody with a phone. There's CCTV. And
lose your single barrel though.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
We'll lose that. No.
So it would be, I think it would be kind of naive to think that if the galaxy is expansive as it is described, then for us to be the only creatures that have figured some of these things out and have, lives on Earth, then there's probably other planets that have something going on.
Yeah, to me, you can't say that we're the most supreme beings and the smartest and believe in science and not believe there's life on other galaxies. Right. Science has proven.
I just don't think they have any interest in us.
Or they don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe
I agree with you on that, Wes. There's something out there.
Yeah, I mean, science tells you at the minimum there are other planets that are habitable or potentially habitable. Period. That's a fact. That's out there.
And it's been said
based on that and based on science, it tells you they should have life form of some sort. Maybe it's not even human. Maybe it's just all animals roaming the earth, living their best life. Yeah. At the minimum, there's at least another planet, maybe hundreds or thousands of planets that have the same capability of our planet to some degree, at least being able to generate whatever kind of life they can generate.
Right.
So anytime you have that possibility, there's a possibility that someone's more advanced than we are, and their advancement allows them to travel. And that's what I'm trying to get at is if you believe there's life on other planets and you believe that there's a possibility that they're more advanced than we are, if that's the case, there is a possibility, maybe it's the smallest possibility in the world, that some of those people over the years have come in and shared some of their technology with us and allowed our society to advance quicker than it was supposed to.
Mm.
If you take a look, the last 100 to 200 years, our society has advanced so much faster than any time before that.
Right.
So we just woke up one day and everybody was just automatically as smart as could be, and we just bam hit the speed button. It became super.
Well,
advanced.
there's certain things like computer circuit boards and things. Once you invent that definitely.
Well, I got it.
Yeah.
I got it. Yeah. I got it.
Everybody's got a computer at their fingertips.
Right.
It doesn't mean they're smart enough to be able to create the next technology, though. It means they just have enough money to buy a computer.
Here's
You
where
should-
True.
You should look into timeline and quantum jumping. It's a whole theory. Look into that. It'll make more sense.
McNew will be exalted, and there'll be slaves working for whoever when they take over.
When they take
We're going to record
want
this.
that.
When they come here, I'm going to play this back.
I don't
I'm
want
going to
that.
play this back, and you three are fucked. And McNew and I are going to be kings and queens of our world.
well,
No, but
I
you
guess
need to
so.
look into timeline jumping. That's a thing. I think that explains a lot of your question, honestly.
Sure.
Personally, I think yes, it's possible that there are other planets that have
Right.
life forms. I think that what we know about all of the life forms on this planet is that we always want to preserve our own selves. And so what we would do is find resources and take things in order to make ourselves preserved and go forward. I can't imagine there's an alien out there that isn't going to be like, oh, hey,
No.
this planet has something we like. We're going to take it all, and they're screwed. I just think if an alien's going to come by and want something and they're smarter than us, they're not going to help us get better. They're going to take what they want.
So yeah, but I think that's the hubris of being a human, though.
But
Right.
that's what
We look
every
at
species on the planet would do.
Yeah,
Are you
but
calling
we're
them
not-
colonizers? Are the aliens
Yeah,
colonizers?
but we're not talking about our planet. We're talking about potentially someone from another more advanced planet being totally different from us and not being selfish and self-centered and everything that we are, and saying, hey, I visited this planet. They don't know what the name is. I kind of like the place. I'm going to help them out. Here's some technology. I'm just saying it's a possibility. If you believe there's life elsewhere,
Sure.
there's a possibility they're way more advanced than we are. And there's a possibility they may have helped us along the way. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Probable, probably not. Possible, yes.
If they're out there and they're listening, help me out.
Yeah. There you go.
Help me out.
The bottom line is even under Wes's scenario, and you're talking about all this rapid growth, it really is a small number of people that spurred this growth. I mean, it's not like are we a super intelligent society or anything like that. It is a relatively small number of people. It's the Steve Jobs of the world. It's those people that come up with the things, the Henry Fords in the automotive, and it's those people that are the ones that make the difference. And it's not that a lot of people actually. You could probably pluck 250 names from American history, and those 250 names could really be the ones tied to every industry of substance that we have. It's pretty wild, actually.
Probably true.
We can't all be Steve Akeley.
Yeah,
It's true.
yeah.
There you
Man, that was the moral of that story. So, on that note, it's time to drink. What is everyone drinking? Got a lot of feedback about Von Nieters on the August 1st show, so we'll have him go first. A lot of people said he was lit on that show.
Yeah, I actually don't remember that show at all.
Yeah, imagine that.
I've got a Bardstown Bourbon Company collaborative series, Foursquare Rum Distillery.
Okay. Oh,
It's going to be tough to beat.
Leopold 8, finished in 3-chamber rye. All right, here we go. I knew it wasn't going to do anything there, but
You
doesn't
buy
matter.
like 12 of those?
Yeah, I did. There's one at the shop right now, if anybody's listening. There's one there. All right. May not be there when you get there, though. This is recorded in advance, don't forget. All right. Next up is Kathy.
I'm going to open up a Neely.
Okay. That was a lot going on there. Squeak.
I wasn't even going to try and
problems,
beat
yeah.
Von Nieters.
Von Nieters has the lead. Looks like Wes is going for the screw top. What do you got there?
Yeah,
man?
I'm going to win the screw off, no doubt about it.
Okay.
I've got an oldie but goodie. I'm savoring my last bottle of Heaven Hill Bottle and Bond 6-year HD.
Okay.
A white label.
All right. All right. Last but not least is McNew. McNew, you can take this thing.
No, so I had a new one, but I don't want to compete with Von Nieters with that. So I'm just going to go with this Tommy's Malted Bank Dog from the Barrel Shop.
Okay. No, nothing there. Nothing there. Cheers to Von Nieters.
Cheers to Von Nieters.
Cheers.
All right. We're going to take a quick break. And then when we come back, we're going to talk about if things were to change. If the aliens were going to come in and help one distillery, who would that be? We'll do that in just a few. Okay, let's talk about the people that make these shows happen. First up is the Stave and Thief Society. Via their in-person class at Moonshine University in Louisville, Kentucky, the Stave and Thief Society is the place where you, a bourbon enthusiast, can expand your knowledge and emerge an executive bourbon steward. In 2017, I completed my executive bourbon steward certification. It's the most comprehensive bourbon certification available and connects you with an expansive network of bourbon enthusiasts and professionals. Check out the full listing of in-person and online certifications and join the society today by enrolling at staveandthief.com. Speaking of Executive Bourbon Steward certification, the ABV Barrel Shop in St. Louis, Missouri has developed a unique partnership with the Stave and Thief Society to offer a preparatory class to assist you in getting your Executive Bourbon Steward certification. This prep class costs only $25 and is available to take live or online via Zoom. Graduates of our class receive a coupon code good for 15% off your Executive Bourbon Steward certification held in Louisville, Kentucky. This saves you almost $90. Additionally, you can collaborate with fellow attendees to split travel costs when you go to Louisville. If you're interested in signing up for the class, simply head over to abvbarrelshop.com and check out the classes and events page. Last but not least, we are sponsored by Neely Family Distillery. Royce Neely is the 11th generation distiller in one of America's oldest distilling families. A visit to Neely Family Distillery takes you through family history, where you can see all the artifacts and newspaper clippings through the years from this family that started distilling in America after James Neely arrived from Northern Ireland in 1740. Today, Royce Neely and his team are crafting some of the best spirits in America. Their bourbon and absinthe offerings keep winning top honors in the spirits competitions. Recently, their absinthe made history as the first platinum winner in the absinthe category at the San Francisco Spirits Competition. Neely Family Distillery is definitely a bucket list destination if you are a bourbon fan. Learn more about their spirit offerings, visiting their facility, and the awards they have collected over at NeelyFamilyDistillery.com. And now, back to the show.
This is Katie Proof, and you're listening to the Bourbon Daily.
Welcome back to the Bourbon Daily. Today we're talking about the aliens' favorite distillery, and why is it Bardstown Bourbon Company?
Right. Is Bardstown, based on their volume, they're laying down a ton of product. They've got a beautiful facility to go visit, so they also capture the general public. A lot of these production distilleries don't do that. They don't allow visitors to come in. They do. They also have their own brands. And then, not that they weren't a big enough behemoth by themselves, they acquired Green River. And now and Green River is kind of this leader of production. And, they've also got their own successful brands that are out there. They're kind of leading the way on the value side of things. So, and then you got Bardstown's got some of the fancier things, some of the more limited edition stuff. I think there's some good things there. And, do they have the potential then? Because again, not only are they making for themselves, they have the out too, the backup plan, as we hear about things like right now, like Beam's cutting back on production. Sounds like things are all full steam ahead going on for Bardstown Bourbon Company. So at some point, could they become the biggest? What do you guys think? It's a theory.
I think they've got an alien working for them.
It could be. It could be.
They're doing things right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think they're on the right track because they have their own brands, right? And their own brands,
They're
whatever
doing good. Yeah.
they're producing and what they're blending and finishing have all been fantastic. But then you'll get like some weird little brand. Like I will occasionally pick stuff up because I like the label and it'll say made in Bardstown, right? Distilled in Bardstown on the label. It's got Bardstown Bourbon Company. It's the only thing that makes sense most of the time.
Most of the time.
Whatever they're sourcing, also fantastic. I think they're kind of in a no-lose situation right now.
Yeah.
They have 2 massive stills, right? That they're running 7 days a week, 3 shifts.
Yeah.
So they can put down a lot of whiskey.
Yeah.
Yep.
And a billionaire started it. So they have the money.
They got the money. Yeah.
To do this. It takes a lot of money. There are people out there that would probably like to do it, but can you imagine how much money that would take?
Right. Right.
Yeah. I think they're set in a pretty good spot. The main reason is they set the business up from the beginning to source and make their own.
Yeah.
So because of that, all of their future planning was based around that business plan. So they didn't start off as, hey, we're just going to put in a still and we're going to make our own stuff. And then they got popular and they started getting a bunch of people asking if they had capacity. Then they had to change their business plan. Like they started with the plan of we're going to outsource and we're going to make our own. We're going to make our own product as well. And then as that momentum picked up, then they did the acquisition. Now they've got a ton of barrel storage space that they didn't have that they could store right now while they build new rick houses if they have to. So it's not a hurry up and wait kind of thing. They can shuttle things across the state for a while if they have to. I think the only thing that may be a bump in the road along the way, as you made the comment about Beam slowing down production a bit. Beam and Buffalo Trace are kind of and Heaven Hill are kind of the triarchy of whatever they're doing should give everybody an indication of how the market's going.
Right.
And
we know Heaven Hill's cutting back too.
Exactly. So 2 of the 3 are admitting to cutting back. Whether Buffalo Trace does or not, I don't know. But
haven't heard anything from them.
Yeah. I live in Louisville, so I consider the Louisville area, Kentucky market is whatever you see on the shelves is a direct indication of what the market's doing right now. And for the first time in 7-8 years, you can walk into a store. Buffalo Trace is not allocated. Weller Green Label is barely allocated. It's on the shelf now for and I'm not talking for $100 a pop either. I'm talking for a reasonable price.
Right.
Blanton's is back out on the shelf. You're starting to see things like Elijah Craig Barrel Proof is abundant everywhere. The really high allocated stuff that's secondary pricing are setting all over the place in these stores. Nobody's buying them anymore. So what I was afraid was going to happen is I feel like we're getting into a little bit of a glut period. So it's good from a bourbon enthusiast standpoint because now you're starting to see these higher age releases because they can't sit on the inventory anymore.
Right.
And it's not selling like they wanted to. The bad part of that is the first, if that starts affecting, if we start to get into a bubble burst in the bourbon world, the very first entities that are going to start feeling the effects of that, and some may go away, are going to be your NDP guys, your private label NDP guys. Joe Blow and so-and-so set up in their garage. They bought a label from someone. They source it from Bardstown Bourbon Company, whoever. They got a warehouse. They barrel it, bottle it, and sell it. Those are going to be the first guys that go away if they would really start getting into a bourbon downturn. That's the only thing that I could see really that keeps them from being a big player. I think if the industry continues to grow or at least stays pat until the next growth spurt, or if it just skyrockets again, we're going to get to a same scenario we had in the 40s and 50s where we're going to end up getting a big 5 or 6 that are going to own most of the distilleries and the small distilleries. And I think they're going to be one of those.
Yeah. I just feel like, and again, that's kind of factored into what I was saying too. I feel like, based on the amount of whiskey that's being laid down, I don't know, we call it a bubble burst. We just call it overproduction. And I think that bubble burst would mean to me that people are going away. I think that the bourbon industry in terms of fans is going to continue to grow at a nice rate. I don't think the general audience, the population of bourbon fans is going anywhere. But I do think we're laying down a lot of whiskey, and I do think that's going to cause some problems for some people. But I also see that as being yet a further opportunity. When you look at all these big production houses that are going in, and with this focus on doing that, if they start to struggle, as Wes mentions, as that, if there's a glut out there, it feels like Bardstown Bourbon Company may be in the position to acquire and grow through acquisition. Again, going back to Kathy's point, well-funded, that's going to help you out. If someone else starts to struggle, you can usually go in when you're buying them out. You're buying for pennies on the dollar. It allows you to get better in bad times, and that could be part of the growth strategy too that comes up in the future. Well, I think that they're positioned well for what's about to happen in this industry based on a lot of things, a lot of factors for sure. So
they're sourcing for people. They're producing for people.
Mm-hmm.
If they're producing for people that are going to go under because they're the first guys to go under, that's going to be such a small percentage that it shouldn't affect them, right?
You wouldn't think, because for all that stuff, they get paid up front. So, when you go into production with them, it's a little bit different than just going and buying barrels from MGP that MGP has laid down on the spec. A big producer, and I'm sure Bardstown Bourbon Company is doing some of this stuff too. They're laying down whiskey that they're hoping to sell. But everything I hear is that their productions. If I go to Bardstown Bourbon Company today and say, hey, I'm thinking about starting a source brand, they're going to be like, well, it's going to be at least a year till you can get in because we've got all of our production accounted for. When if it's accounted for, that means it's also paid for. So they're getting paid for that stuff up front, which helps the cash flow situation with Bardstown versus I'm just going to lay down barrels and I think we're going to have product that we can sell. So. And that's what MGP did for many years, of course. That's how they get the big glut and become this house where you can go and knock on the door and buy barrels. Though they've kind of gotten away from that in the last couple of years, though. Again, because things are starting to get a little bit overproduction, I think they're opening that up a little bit now, once again, too. So.
Yeah, that would apply only until the first contract's up. But
right,
so if the overall industry started seeing a drastic decline, and 15 small guys decided, all right, we've got all of our distilled bourbon from Bardstown Bourbon Company under contract. Yep. We've only gotten rid of 50% of it. It's sitting on shelves. What I'm talking about is will they start getting those second, third, and fourth contracts? Yeah, this is a big if, by the way.
Right.
If the industry started taking a downturn. Yeah. Are there enough of those? Because that contract business of theirs, if I'm not mistaken, it's a good portion of their business. Like
it is.
It's a big portion of their business. So if you have a large group of that, and there's already a couple of NDP.
But Wes, don't you think it comes down to who's in the best position to handle that, to deal with that? Because the same thing's going to be happening to Jackson Purchase and Garrard County and Jane Bowie and Denny, as they get into this and want to do the same thing. So the same thing's going to be happening to all them. So this is where attrition begins to happen. And then when you through acquisition you buy it out, and sure, maybe we go from having 200 non-distilling producers that are affiliated with those 4 distilleries, but one gets bought out. That all comes to that one. So you start combining. I think that if they're positioned right, that's not actually a bad thing for them, because you can eliminate some of the competition and take that over, and because there's still going to be non-distilling producers no matter how quote unquote bad things get. Yeah, that's.
No, I'm saying I think they are poised. I'm saying if there's anything that derails them.
Mm-hmm.
A big downturn in the industry could affect them more than it affects the Beam and the Buffalo Trace and the Heaven Hills, because they have their legacy brands that are on every shelf and every bar and things like that.
And we don't know what that mix is either for those customers. I mean, is it customers like, Steve Akeley going to them and saying, I'm starting a brand, or is it Schnucks Markets coming to them and saying, hey, we're a big grocery chain and we want to have private labels? Well, if it's those, Schnucks isn't going to go away, or whatever, National or Kroger or whoever might do that. Those are, I think they're really good contracts to have, because those entities are going to be around. They're going to always need private labels. Versus you're dealing with an individual. They might go out of business.
Yeah, it's going to be the two guys that get together and create two labels or one label. It's going to be this other podcast that has thrown all their money into making bourbon, and those are the ones that you're right. The Chinooks, if they're sourcing for Chinooks or Sam's or Costco or whoever, those aren't going to be dealt with at all. It's going to be what I call the oddball. Someone gets enough money up with a partner or an investor and decides, you know what, I'm right in the middle of Louisville. I can put up a storefront and I can have these two brands, and I'll just have Bardstown Bourbon Company make them for us. Those are the people that Bardstown Bourbon Company, to your point, could either buy for pennies on the dollar to get them out of a bad spot, or they could just run the contracts out, let the labels die out, and let them just go on their way. But from a growth standpoint, if enough of those were to go down that path, it could probably affect them for a while. But long term, I don't think it's going to be an issue.
Yeah,
they could probably pivot.
Yeah, I think they're poised to be here for a while, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so interesting because, again, it's a beautiful facility, definitely worth going to. The restaurant's awesome. So, I mean, they're at the forefront of tourism. They've got the cool bar in there with the Dusties and stuff like that. So, I mean, they kind of hit on a little bit of everything in terms of what bourbon fans are looking for today. And like I said, we're now to the point, too, where they're coming out with offerings that are things that they've distilled. Early on, everything that they had was sourced. Now that's a mixture of things that they're continuing to source themselves, because they didn't have enough aged, production. To now we're seeing them doing releases where it's stuff that they distilled, which is pretty cool, too.
All their Fusion Series stuff that I've had is amazing. Like, I haven't had one that's bad at all. And to me, they have one of the most stylish, unique bottles that are out there. I love their bottle. Like, you shouldn't buy whiskey because of a bottle, but if it looks great and it's sitting on your bar or sitting on your shelf or whatever, and it tastes great, I may if I got $50 to spend, if I got $50 to spend, I like those Fusion bottles. I just do. Just the way it is.
The transparency of their labels is cool too.
That's the other part I like about it.
It's awesome. It's what they do is.
I'm a huge fan of them showing exactly what's in it. It's awesome.
It makes you want to trust them, right? You get these other ones where like you barely get any information at all, and it's like, okay, it's sourced in Kentucky. Well, no shit. Like,
right.
Most of it is sourced in Kentucky. Is it sourced out of someone's backyard? Is it sourced? Where is it sourced out of? So
yeah. So there you go. All right. On that note, we're going to wrap this one up as we always do by talking about where people can find us. Von Nieters, we'll start with you. Where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Von Nieters.
Kathy.
You can find me on Instagram at KK Cast Strength.
Wes.
Instagram, bourbon_Wes.
All right, McNew.
I'm on Instagram at McNew ABV.
All right, for me, easy got to find at Steve Akeley, Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. I've got a website, steveakeley.com. We've also got a company website, abvnetwork.com. Check that one out. All our previous content is out there. Also, abvbarrelshop.com, where you can learn more about the Barrel Shop and sign up for our email distribution at abvbarrelshop.com. McNew, anything else to say before we get out of here?
I'd like to remind the audience to please give us a 5-star review. That includes a comment. It helps me find the show, which is very important to us. And if you like what we're doing, we ask that you please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/the ABV Network.
Great job today, gang. For audience, we'll have a brand new show for you very soon, which will be tomorrow. Until then, take care, everybody. See ya.
Bye.
Goodbye to everyone in every galaxy.
Bye, friend.
Do. Before we let you go, let's talk about one last thing. The ABV Barrel Shop in the St. Louis community of Arnold, Missouri. The ABV Barrel Shop is focused on a couple of things. First of all, single barrels. We are the place where single barrels live. We go to distilleries, taste through the whiskey, select the best barrel, and have it shipped to our store where we present it to you, our customers, by allowing you to try before you buy. We're also known for the classes that we have in our education center in the store, as well as the events we have with industry professionals from the bourbon business. If you are in the St. Louis area, please come by and visit us at 6 Fox Valley Center in Arnold, Missouri, or at a minimum, at least sign up for our email and text distribution so you know exactly what's going on in our shop over at abvbarrelshop.com. This is Steve Akeley, owner of the ABV Network, signing off. We thank you for listening to our programming and truly appreciate your support.
The Bourbon Daily is part of the ABV Network. For more information or to become a sponsor, please visit abvnetwork.com. Thanks for listening and cheers.
This has been a Steve Akeley production.